Where 924071. Call for an automatic stay while the
Welcome to SpillHood, your spot for all the wild gossip, courtroom chaos, and breaking news shaking the culture right now. And today's update on YNW Melly's case is already stirring the whole internet because his latest court hearing just exposed a brand new release date, and he went against his own lawyers to make it happen. This was the first time Melly stepped out in open court and openly pushed back on his legal team, and it got loud fast. Witnesses say he started raising his voice at his attorneys right in front of the judge as they tried to argue about evidence tied to alleged group activity that prosecutors are trying to use against him.
Yes, sir.
Against our advice, our client wants to proceed.
You objected to it. You're requesting me to determine this automatic stay.
Based upon what our client has instructed us.
Melly wasn't having any of it, and he made that clear with real emotion. People sitting inside the courtroom said they heard him straight up shout, "I don't care, I'm not in no group, they can't prove that." His frustration was written all over his face, and even the judge seemed caught off guard by the sudden shift in energy. But here's the twist that nobody expected. The reason Melly is pushing so hard is because if his legal team does manage to get that evidence blocked, the paperwork and delays attached to it would push the entire trial all the way to 2027. That would leave Melly sitting behind bars for 7 to 9 years before any conviction even happens. And he's clearly not willing to wait that long. Drama is unfolding in real time, and the tension in that courtroom was no joke.
They were aggravators. They go to membership and again, there were things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravator, that's the death penalty. Aggravator, that's the gang enhancement itself, Your Honor. That's charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the further of the gang, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
Something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yes.
However, the state is now trying to stretch this entire situation even longer because they want every single piece of evidence they're planning to use against Melly to be fully approved before the next trial begins. Prosecutors are aiming for the harshest sentence possible, and they're stacking everything they can to make sure this second trial hits hard. This move immediately grabbed the attention of Melly's mother, who jumped on Instagram Live to speak on the new updates and share what she was hearing about when the trial might actually begin. Her reaction had fans spinning because she's been one of the loudest voices fighting for her son's freedom. When the hearing wrapped up, Melly's lawyers made one more push and requested a bond release so he could be out until the September trial date, but the judge shut it down instantly. Court insiders said Melly's reaction was intense, and fans quickly pointed out that he's now been locked up for 2,320 days without a conviction, which is something his supporters keep calling out as unfair.
Finding this case to be under the most compelling circumstances. Mr. Devins, as I sit here today, has been in custody for 2,339 days. Besides Mr. Devins' cases, which I've removed, this division currently has 38 other cases, special set for trial. 22 of those are murder cases. Numerous of those are death cases. And right now, this division has trial special set in December of 2020.
But the denial wasn't random. It came down to one thing the prosecutors prepared in advance, almost like their own insurance plan. They created a full evidence package designed to keep Melly behind bars until trial officially starts, and they handed the judge what they claimed was their most serious material yet. It was also revealed that prosecutors recently updated that evidence file with new details they say Melly didn't realize were recorded during an earlier moment connected to the case involving Sack Chaser and Juvie. The court mentioned this footage lasted only about 5 hours, but prosecutors insisted it was enough to keep him held until the trial kicks off. Right after the incident happened, footage surfaced of YNW Melly and YNW Borland dancing around in a parking lot.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! The dog still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
Showing no sign that they had just lost 2 people they were close to. The clip stunned everyone because it made Melly look completely unbothered during a moment when most would be overwhelmed with emotion. But that wasn't the only video prosecutors pulled out. Without Melly realizing it, another recording showed him 30 minutes before the incident.
Excuse me, you're able to see? Yes, all right.
Walking out of the studio and sliding straight into the back left seat of the Jeep, the same ride Sack Chaser, Juvie, and Borland were about to get into. That detail would later become one of the most critical pieces in the case. The reason this positioning matters so much is because the official documents describe the bullet paths moving left to right inside the vehicle, lining up perfectly with the spot where Mel was sitting. Prosecutors even brought in Juvie's mother, Jamil, who confirmed where each person was seated, adding more weight to their argument.
Can you state your name, your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right-hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
But that wasn't all. They came into court with even more heavy material. What prosecutors did next had people calling the Florida legal system questionable, because they managed to convince both Mel's ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, and someone connected to Borland to work with them under certain deals. Here's where things get even more complicated. Mariah had reportedly been staying outside the United States since long before Mel's original trial, and prosecutors claimed they had evidence suggesting Mel somehow pushed her, either through pressure or payment, to stay away so she wouldn't be required to testify. This allegation shocked the courtroom and shifted the energy instantly, making the whole situation feel even more tangled. After spending years outside the United States, Mariah finally decided she wanted to come home and see her family, only to get arrested the moment she landed at the airport. Being locked up was hitting her hard, and sources say she was struggling from the first day, which set the stage for what happened next. When she stepped into her first court hearing, she didn't waste a second. She took a deal right away. The judge told her plainly that if she agreed to testify about what really went down with Sack Chaser and Juvie, she could walk out free. She accepted instantly, which turned into a major setback for YNW Melly, because this meant the state now had a witness they believed could open the case even further.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
Once Mariah was released, she posted on Facebook with a message that got everybody talking. "Thank you to my village. I love you all so much. God's plan, not mine." The post sounded emotional and grateful, but investigators said it carried deeper meaning because of what they had already discovered in her digital files. Federal investigators claimed they found troubling information inside Mariah's iCloud account, messages and notes suggesting Mel might have tried to stop her from testifying during the original trial. Authorities labeled this as possible witness interference, and if Mariah confirms any of it in court, it could take the case in a whole new direction. This is why her decision to cooperate shook the room, because if she stands by those claims under oath, the consequences for Mel could be life-altering. The most unsettling part of this whole situation is that the witness tampering charge is completely separate from the two major charges Mel is already facing. That means even if a jury decides he's not responsible for what happened to Sack Chaser and Juvie, a guilty verdict just for witness interference could still lock him away for life. This possibility has the entire courtroom on edge because it changes everything. But things get even more intense. Federal authorities haven't allowed YNW Melly to use a jail phone in months.
See what happened today is the judge has said we are not delaying trial. We will be going to trial September 10th, even though there's things that's up with the 4th DCA that has been ruled to be suppressed and not able to be used in the upcoming trial. The judge is just upholding those orders. So therefore, all of the, basically what was up on appeal was all of that stuff, what they were using as an enhancer in order to get the death penalty qualified. The judge ordered all of that to be suppressed. So moving forward onto the new trial, the state will not be able to bring in that evidence.
The situation got so serious that his mother, Jamie King, went public in an interview calling out the county jail for blocking all phone access.
Son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to just to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail. They don't give it to him.
Her frustration showed how unusual this restriction really is. This move by the feds strongly suggests they believe Mel was using the jail phone to interfere with witnesses, and they wouldn't shut down his communication for months unless they thought they had real evidence to back it up. If it was just a guess, the jail would risk a huge lawsuit, so the decision left everyone wondering what investigators found. And when you add in what YW Borland is expected to reveal about Mel, the situation becomes even more damaging for the defense. People don't realize that Mel's own lawyer already tried shifting the blame toward Borland on the first day of the original trial, hoping to make the jury question his loyalty and actions. Now that both sides are pointing fingers, the case has turned into a dangerous game, and every new detail is making the pressure even heavier.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of hot residue and two component particles. And the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of hot residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was hot residue present on the hand.
In court, Mel's own lawyer told the feds and the judge that YW Borland was the one who kept switching up his story. The defense claimed Borland wasn't being straight with investigators and pointed out that he had no residue on his hands after the incident, even though he was the last person seen with Juvie and Sack Chaser before they passed. This argument was meant to create doubt, but prosecutors were ready with their own angle. They brought in a forensic expert who covered the entire investigation and broke down details that had the courtroom locked in.
Were his lives. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar, and you don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with 2 bodies, car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
According to the specialist, Borland actually did have powder residue on his hands, and the explanation lined up with the prosecutor's version of what happened. This back and forth over the evidence made the case even more confusing, raising questions about who was telling the truth. But there's another layer people forget. This is exactly why Borland hasn't said a single thing on social media for over a year. He went completely quiet online, which caught attention right after Mel's mistrial got announced. On the same day, the mistrial news dropped. A report surfaced showing that Borland tweeted a mysterious message: "Mind games don't work on people like me," followed by a handshake emoji. The timing had everyone talking because it looked like he might be agreeing to something behind the scenes, almost like he was signaling acceptance of a deal connected to Mel's situation.
Finally, Judge, just so, again, the record's clear, given Judge Murphy's order, and there would be an intent to comply with it, what the court is compelling the state to do is to go forward with evidence that has been suppressed. In other words, we would not be able to use that evidence.
You can't.
Right.
It's suppressed. That's exactly correct.
With all these mixed messages and hush-hush moves, it became clear that something deeper was going on between both sides, and the courtroom tension kept building. The drama took another wild turn when court insiders revealed that the prosecutors had been studying every move made by both Mel and Borland since day one. They weren't just watching the courtroom, they were digging into past messages, old digital backups, old phone logs, and anything that could show who was being honest and who wasn't, turning this case into a full-blown strategy battle. Prosecutors claim some of the new files they uncovered showed conversations that didn't match Borland's earlier statements, creating an entirely new set of questions about who was really involved. But what made things even more intense was how fast the prosecution pushed to bring these findings into the courtroom. They presented the new info like they had been holding on to it for the perfect moment, almost trying to corner both Mel and Borland at the same time. And the judge took the update seriously, which had the whole courtroom sitting in silence as the details were read out loud.
Here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. It's just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once. And also, you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking a penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
Meanwhile, whispers started spreading among people close to the case that prosecutors might be preparing to split Mel and Borland apart completely, trying to get one of them to speak first. The pressure from both sides was building, and with every new document added, the case grew more tangled than before. Even legal experts watching from the outside said the situation was becoming unpredictable. By this point, both defense teams were locked in on every detail, knowing that a single statement, a single screenshot, or even a single misunderstanding could shift the entire future of this trial. Every move in that courtroom now felt like a high-stakes chess match, and nobody knew who would make the next big move.
As of now, the attorneys could go to the appellant court and request that they issue a stay or place a hold on the trial, and that seems to be the only way that this trial does not move forward on the scheduled date. So if that doesn't happen, Melly trial number 2 will begin in about 2 months.
Reports came out suggesting that Borland's strange message might have been his way of signaling that he's willing to be tried right alongside YNW Melly in the upcoming trial. Prosecutors even filed paperwork requesting that both of them sit together as co-defendants side by side in the courtroom, and they're doing it for one major reason. They're hoping the pressure of sitting in that seat will force the truth to break through. Think about it. If Borland truly believes he didn't have anything to do with what happened, there's no way he could sit there quietly knowing a life sentence is on the table. Most people wouldn't be able to handle that kind of weight, and the prosecutors are counting on it. They expect that moment to push him into turning toward the judge and pointing straight at Mel if that's how he sees the situation. This setup could change everything, and the energy in that courtroom is about to be on a whole different level. The next trial is shaping up to be one of the most intense moments this case has ever seen, and the truth is closer than ever. If you want to see Mel walk free, make sure you like the video, subscribe to SpillHood, hit that bell, and drop a comment below telling us whether you think he's guilty or innocent. And see you on the next one.